Hello and welcome to the Vaults of Terra. My name is Ed,
And I'm Peter.
and we are here to present to you on this channel the lore of Warhammer 40,000.
Yes, it sounds like a daunting task, but have no fear, we are here. We'll be starting at the rather simple general overview of the universe, and then we'll be delving down into the individual races, going as far as their biology and their weapons. But don't worry, that's for later videos. We're starting at the very top here.
Yes, today we will be presenting the background for Warhammer 40,000 and just a general structure for our videos.
Yes, the reason we decided to do these videos is we've heard many people getting into the hobby or into various things happening within the galaxy, and they don't really know much of the lore or the background, and there's no real solid place for them to go. Sure, there's loads of websites they could go to, but we wanted a convenient place where they could get all the information condensed down into a simple chunk that they could absorb as much or as little as they wanted.
Indeed, we will be presenting all types of information, all ranges of skill and all knowledge bases. Thus, if you have a specific interest, you can come straight to us, and if you have a more general interest, our range of videos will array before you the massive universe.
So, I think we should start with the very origins of Warhammer 40,000 as a hobby.
A very good idea. Well, Warhammer 40,000 started about 25 years ago. It was made by a company called Games Workshop as a tabletop miniature wargame, essentially similar to chess but on a far more complex scale using small painted miniatures. However, in order to promote their new miniatures range, they developed this background. And over the last 25 years it has evolved into this gigantic thing that we now call the Warhammer 40,000 universe.
Yeah, one thing that really attracts me to the Warhammer 40,000 universe is just how massive it is and how much lore there is. There's lots and lots of stuff to get your teeth stuck into.
True, it is truly epic in its scale. It's Tolkien-esque in its size, and so hence why we've decided to do these videos. But I think what we should now do is introduce a few of the topics that we'll be discussing over the next videos, just to give you a guideline on where we're going and what we're doing. So our first subject matter will be the Imperium. Now, the Imperium is essentially what humanity's government is in the 41st millennium. It is a massive empire that spans the entirety of the galaxy, and it is in a state of almost constant war, beset on all sides by numerous enemies of many kinds. It was actually founded 10,000 years before the date that we are addressing. It was founded in the 31st millennium by a very incredible human known as the Emperor, a semi-divine being.
Pretty much Space Jesus.
Pretty much. Sort of. Anyway, but Space Jesus, i.e. the Emperor, also had to create 20 massive Primarchs, who were essentially his sons, in order...
Genetically engineered super soldiers.
Essentially, yes. To lead his armies, and then he created, even from those Primarchs, superhumans known as Space Marines. Legions and legions of warriors who were able to fight across the galaxy and reclaim all of humanity's lost colonies. However, as inevitably it would happen in this universe, he was betrayed by one of his Primarchs, known as Horus. This traitor son gathered half of the Emperor's Space Marine legions and led them against Holy Terra, the homeworld of humanity, essentially trying to take over humanity. Unfortunately for the Emperor, this meant that although he beat Horus, it left him crippled and entombed upon a device known as the Golden Throne, which has kept him alive for the last 10,000 years. Now, flash forward to today, and humanity is virtually unrecognisable from today. It is a brutal leadership under the Imperium, where people are treated not so much as human beings as merely tools to be used to fend off the numerous enemies.
And there are trillions of us at this point.
There are trillions of us, that is true.
Multiplied beyond the galaxy.
Indeed, across millions of worlds there are trillions of human beings, and thus humanity can afford to lose millions of people every day, which is a rather sad thing.
A scary thought.
A very scary thought. Now, the Imperium has several main forces which it uses in order to combat its enemies. one of the greatest forces it has is the aforementioned Space Marines. These are massive super soldiers who, after the Horus Heresy, which was the uprising by the traitor son Horus, they were arranged into many chapters who are, even today, fighting the enemies of mankind. These Space Marine legions are not the only force that humanity has to offer. There are also a fighting force known as the Imperial Guard, which far outstrips the Space Marines in terms of numbers, if not in fighting prowess.
And they are just pretty much humans, aren't they? I think there's slight genetic alterations, but they're pretty much normal humans.
They are, essentially, they're mainly people. You and me, blokes off the street, given a big gun, or a small gun in fact, and said, there's the enemy, go and die so that we can actually keep hold of this planet.
And to give them some sort of, chance, they've given them lots and lots of tanks.
Yes, essentially they are the tank force of the Imperium, along with the squishy humans. But also they have many other smaller divisions within the Imperium, alongside the Imperial Guard, which fight, such as the Sisters of Battle, essentially warrior women who are arrayed as almost as powerful as the Space Marines in their power armour, and are devoted to the Emperor, who is now a god in the Imperium. But there is also the Holy Inquisition, something that many of us will know if you've ever watched Monty Python.
Ah, yes.
Unfortunately, they're a little bit more efficient than the Monty Python-esque Inquisition.
Yes, yeah.
They bring out more than just the rack. Anyway, so the Inquisition is a shadowy force that tries to keep peace within the Imperium at any cost, which is essentially the Black Ops organisation with many varieties of forces that they command.
And they're sort of similar to the Space Marines in how genetically altered they are, aren't they?
They are. They do have many forces which are genetically altered, although they themselves aren't always. Some of them are just normal human beings, if given ridiculous amounts of power. We will talk about that later on. However, what we must also now talk about are the enemies of mankind.
And there are many.
Oh, there are many. There are more enemies of mankind than you can shake an intergalactic stick at. And, of course, first and foremost, we must talk about chaos. Now, this is not the generic, oh look, it's all mad, it's all gone crazy, it's chaos. No, this is an actual entity. And it all stems from a thing known as the warp. The warp is a intergalactic dimension which exists sort of parallel to ours, where spaceships can actually enter and exit in order to travel great distances very quickly. However, this region is also inhabited by many demonic entities. These creatures which are completely illogical in terms of human thinking, who always seek to come into the human universe and either strike fear into the hearts of mankind or just kill. Generally just kill. They are
generally
all
just kill.
Just murder. But they are not alone in this, for they are ruled by the 4 gods of chaos. And you couldn't see I just held up 3 fingers there.
4 gods.
All 4 gods. Yes, the 4 gods of chaos. The bloodthirsty Khorne, the putrid Nurgle, the ever-plotting Tzeentch, and the deprived Slaanesh. These gods are the crux of everything that has happened to the Imperium since its founding and its fall. And they also command a vast army of Space Marines, all traitors from the Horus Heresy many years earlier. This is quite a conundrum for humanity, and they must try and force out the demons and the psychers and everything that stems from the warp by any means necessary, hence the need for such a brutal and dogmatic leadership that will do anything in order to save humanity. However, chaos is not the only problem.
Oh no, that's only the beginning.
Yes, which sounds pretty daunting in any case. But there are many others out there. There are, of course, the aliens, the Xenos.
A personal favourite of mine, and a good place to begin, are the Tyranids. Now, if you've ever seen the film Alien, or Aliens, or that sort of series, they're very heavily inspired. The Tyranids are very heavily inspired by those films. So you can sort of imagine them towering, spiky, horrible things. They just want to devour the whole universe, pretty much.
Yeah, they essentially take Ridley Scott's idea and go mad with it.
Yes, yeah. Plenty of spiky things, and they even have biological weapons that are sort of built into their own flesh.
Yeah.
It's all very messy and horrible, and can give you plenty of nightmares.
They can give you plenty of nightmares, yeah. It's known as the Great Devourer, for the Tyranids' aim, although unclear, is mainly to devour the entire galaxy.
They've never really sat down for a chat with anyone to discuss their motives.
No, they are more into eating and devouring every planet they come across.
Yes, yeah. Lots of scary things on that end.
Oh yes, but that's not all. We then move on to the rather brutish orcs. Now,
Yes.
anyone who is familiar with Tolkien or anything in fantasy will know what orcs are.
Yes, but these ones are spelled with a K.
Clearly, they are different.
Oh, yes.
Spelt with a K, these orcs are essentially scavengers. They take whatever refuse has been left behind by other spacefaring civilizations and fashion their own spaceflight techniques, their own weaponry, which is essentially a big gun with a thing on the end which goes boom.
That goes daka daka daka.
Yes, Daka Daka indeed. I don't think they've also evolved the letter S. They seem to just use the letter Z.
Z'll do.
Z'll do, as will a Cockney accent.
And a Cockney accent. Oh, Space Marines!
Yes. If you've ever heard anything by Games Workshop or the games that they've produced, you will know they're all Cockneys. Sorry, South London, it's true. Moving on, we then go on to the Eldar.
Oh, the Eldar. These are a mysterious bunch.
They are a mysterious bunch, but many have called them Space Elves.
Space Elves, pretty much. If you want a sweeping generalisation, Space Elves is a good place to start.
Yes, although you will anger virtually every Eldar player out there.
Oh, Eldar players.
Calm down. But yes, Eldar are essentially a race of ancient beings who are slowly dying. Their race having been brutally savaged by the birth of the Chaos god Slanesh 10,000 years before. And actually they are two distinct factions within the Eldar. There are Craftworld Eldar that live in gigantic city-sized spaceships and who try and recover the lost territories of the Eldar, and the Dark Eldar, who live in a mysterious place known as the Webway. And these Dark Eldar are the dark mirror of the Eldar. They are psychotic, hedonistic creatures of pain and torment who live off the agony of other people. So pleasant people all round.
Pleasant people all round.
I have them over for tea regularly. So yes, that's the Eldar. Very, very much a elvish parody, but it's so well done that you don't notice really. But then we move on to one of Peter's favourites.
Yes, oh yes, the Tau. I do love the Tau. At first glance, they seem sort of blue-skinned aliens from the Avatar films, but no, really no. Leave it there if you want to live. These are a sort of Zen-like being who really focus on technology, but are also a sort of socialist sort of society where everything is done for the greater good of the race.
Regardless of whether you think you want to work for the greater good or not.
No, that doesn't even come into it.
Yes, you will work for the greater good, or you will have a bullet in your head, or a plasma bolt, or whatever it is they use these days. Anyway, but finally, one of the last Xenos races we must mention are the Necrons.
Oh, these are probably the most mysterious.
They are, although the 40k has given us a lot of lore since their inception, they are still pretty mysterious.
Oh, yes.
But they are essentially machines from before the dawn of any other race that we've mentioned, who seek to destroy all life as some sort of affront to their creation. They are sort of controlled by these vast demonic entities known as Catan or Satan, depending on how you want to pronounce them. And they are almost like gods themselves, but they're not related to Chaos. In fact, they are the arch enemies of Chaos, although you'd never know it from the fact they kill everything.
And Necrons themselves, their appearance is sort of skeletal in nature. They're the sort of bare bones of machinery. If you've ever seen the Terminator movies, sort of similar to that. They're made of living metal as well, so very hard to kill.
So these are the races of Warhammer 40,000.
That's a brief overview of all of them.
Possibly the briefest overview we could do with any sort of legibility.
We'll be doing videos on each of those we've just mentioned in the future.
Yes, along with a whole host of other things, ranging from what weapons they like to use to what bones they like to pick their teeth with.
Yes, and the biology and
the biology and the history and everything else in between. We will make sure that if you want to know it, we will have told you it. Hopefully. But of course, we will try and keep up to date as well, for 40,000 is a universe that is evolving continuously, thanks to Games Workshop still having a very active interest in this world that they've created. They are eternally expanding and growing the lore, from the codexes in the armies that are used in the miniatures to the vast array of books that I seem to have behind me.
Oh, yes.
I think I've owned more of the Black Library than I have any other book. But anyway, that is what we will be doing on this channel. Well, I hope this has been informative, and I hope that you will come back and enjoy our videos.
Oh, yes, please do.
Yes, we will try and put them out relatively regularly, starting with the first topic of the Imperium of Mankind. And hopefully you'll see us soon. We will probably be presenting individually, but we will try and get some discussions going as well. If you have any questions that you would specifically want answered, do let us know, and we will endeavour to answer them to the best of our ability. We'll definitely want to keep this going, so I hope you've enjoyed it, and we hope to see you again.
See you next time on Vaults of Terra!